Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the daily readings of Srila Prabhupada's books. Nigamakalpatador Galitam Palam. The Srimad-Bhagavatam is the essence of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. When the sages of Naimisharanya got together, they heard all the Vedas, all the Puranas. First they heard the Mahabharata, then they heard all the Puranas. And they were of various types. There were Karmakandis, there were Shaivites, there were pure devotees of Krishna, there were all kinds of spiritualists there in Naimisharanya. But the last work they heard was Srimad-Bhagavatam. And by that time, they became qualified to hear the Srimad-Bhagavatam by hearing all those scriptures from Sutta Goswami. So that's what we're doing here. We're getting the essence of all the scriptures direct, without having to hear all those other scriptures first. Very, very unique, very unusual, and we owe our spiritual lives to Srila Prabhupada for writing these, translating the Bhagavatam, and writing these Bhaktivedanta purports in English language that allows us to understand concepts that took the sages of Naimisharanya 1,000 years to be able to understand. Yes, that's exactly what's happening here. And you hear it every day in association of Prabhupada's loyal followers, Prabhupada's purports, and you get that benefit. So congratulations to everyone here and there and everywhere. Hare Krishna.
What is the number of this house?
3402. Radha Lane. Okay, Sanatana Goswami, one of the senior disciples of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, if not the senior disciple of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, had this to say about the Srimad Bhagavatam, which we just heard a little bit about. And it goes like this. Sarvashashabdipiyusha Sarvavedaika Satpala Sarva Siddhanta Ratnadya Sarvaslokaika Drikprada. O nectar from the ocean of all scriptures, singular fruit of all the Vedas, rich mine of the precious gems of all conclusive truths, you are the only giver of sight to all the worlds. Srimad Bhagavata Prana, Sarva Bhagavata Prana, Srimad Bhagavata Prabho, Kalidwandodita Ditya, Shri Krishna Parivartita. O life heir of all the Supreme Lord's devotees, O Master Srimad Bhagavatam, you are the sun risen in the darkness of Kali. You are the exact image of Shri Krishna. Paramananda Pataya Prema Varshakshanayate Sarvada Sarvasevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namostume. I bow down to you who are supremely blissful to read. Your every syllable pours down a flood of prema. You can always be served by everyone. You are Sri Krishna himself. Madeka Bando Matsangin Madguro Mad Mahadana Mad Nistadaga Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namostute. My only friend, my constant companion, my spiritual master, my great wealth, my savior, my good fortune, my source of ecstasy, I bow down to you. Hey, Michael. Asadu saduta dayin abhinicho chatakada namunchakada chinma premna ritkanta yospura. O bestower of saintliness to the unsaintly, O exalter of the most fallen, please never leave me. Always appear in my heart and my voice with pure love. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 All through the Srimad Bhagavatam, Arjuna, when he is Parikshit Maharaj, inquiring from Shukadev Goswami, repeats again and again, keep here chanting. I can never get enough of this. This sound vibration is insatiable. It gives an insatiable taste. Once you get this taste, you can't give it up for anything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome home. Chapter 19, Canto 9, as we continue to become qualified to reach the 10th canto and enter Braj with Radha and Krishna and their eternal associates. This is a very interesting story, Yayati. Now, very interesting. Chapter 9 is entitled, King Yayati Achieves Liberation. Now, you remember all the things we heard about King Yayati, what he was doing? Trying to get his youth back from his sons, and so he can enjoy this beautiful girl for as long as possible, and eventually getting tired of it. And now he's going to achieve liberation. So you think this guy must be completely ineligible. But therefore, these personalities in the Bhagavatam are not ordinary personalities. Kardama and his wife going around the universe enjoying for years and years, then they become the mother and father of God. Kapila Dev. You can't become the mother and father of God if you're a sense enjoyer. Therefore, they weren't sense enjoyers. It's very difficult to understand the activities of pure devotees, because their desire only is to be with Krishna. Sometimes they have to do things in duty to satisfy superior authorities in order to get that desire fulfilled. Okay, 19th chapter. This 19th chapter describes how Maharaj Yayati achieved liberation after he recounted the figurative story of the he-goat and the she-goat. After many, many years of sexual relationships and enjoyment in the material world, King Yayati finally became disgusted with such materialistic happiness. When satiated with material enjoyment, he devised a story of a he-goat and she-goat corresponding to his own life, and narrated the story before his beloved Devayani. The story is as follows. Once upon a time, while a goat was searching in a forest for different types of vegetables to eat. Wait, I read this.
Yes.
Sorry, we're to the first chapter, first verse. Text 1. Shukadev Goswami said, O Maharaj Parikshit, Yayati was very much attached to woman. In due course of time, however, when disgusted with sexual enjoyment and its bad effects, he renounced this way of life and narrated the following story to his beloved wife. Text 2. My dearly beloved wife, daughter of Shukracharya, in this world there was someone exactly like me. Please listen as I narrate the history of his life. By hearing about the life of such a householder, those who have retired from household life always lament. Purport. Persons who live in the village or town are called Grama Nivasi, and those who live in the forest are called Vanavasi or Vanaprastha. The Vanaprasthas, those who have retired from family life, generally lament about their past family life because it engaged them in trying to fulfill lusty desires. Prahlad Maharaj said that one should retire from family life as soon as possible, and he described family life as the darkest well, hit vatmapatam, griyam andakupam. If one continuously or permanently concentrates on living with his family, he should be understood to be killing himself. In the Vedic civilization, it is recommended that one retire from family life at the end of his 50th year and go to Vana, the forest. When he becomes expert or accustomed to forest life or retired life as a Vanaprastha, he should accept sannyas. Vanam gato yad darim ashrayeta. Sannyas means accepting unalloyed engagement in the service of the Lord. Vedic civilization therefore recommends 4 different stages of life: brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. One should be very much ashamed of remaining a householder and not promoting oneself to the 2 higher stages, namely vanaprastha and sannyas. Text 3. While wandering in the forest, eating to satisfy his senses, a he-goat by chance approached a well, in which he saw a she-goat standing helplessly, having fallen into it by the influence of the results of fruitive activities. Purport. Here Maharaj Yayati compares himself to a he-goat and Devayani to a she-goat, and describes the nature of man and woman. Like a he-goat, a man searches for sense gratification, wandering here and there, and a woman without the shelter of a man or husband is like a she-goat that has fallen into a well. Without being cared for by a man, a woman cannot be happy. Indeed, she is just like a she-goat that has fallen into a well and is struggling for existence. Therefore, a woman must take shelter of her father, as Devayani did when under the care of a Shukracharya, and then the father must give the daughter in charity to a suitable man, or a suitable man should help the woman by placing her under the care of a husband. This is shown vividly by the wife of Devayani. When King Yayati delivered Devayani from the well, she felt great relief and requested Yayati to accept her as his wife. But when Maharaj Yayati accepted Devayani, he became too attached and had sex life, not only with her, but with others, like Sarmishta. Yet still he was dissatisfied. Therefore one should retire by force from such family life as Yayati's. When one is fully convinced of the degrading nature of worldly family life, one should completely renounce this way of life, taking sannyas, and engage himself fully in the service of the Lord. Then one's life will be successful. Text 4. After planning how to get the she-goat out of the well, the lusty he-goat dug up the earth on the well's edge with the point of his horns in such a way that she was able to come out very easily. Purport. Attraction for woman is the impetus for economic development, housing, and many other things meant for living comfortably in this material world. Digging up the earth to make a way out for the she-goat was a laborious task. But before accepting the she-goat, the he-goat underwent this labor. To griyachetra sutapt bitayar janasya moho yamaham mameti. The union between male and female produces the impetus for gaining a nice apartment, a good income, children, and friends. Thus one becomes entangled in this material world. Texts 5 and 6. When the she-goat, who had very nice hips, got out of the well and saw the very handsome he-goat, she desired to accept him as her husband. When she did so, many other she-goats also desired him as their husband because he had a very beautiful bodily structure and a nice mustache and beard, and was expert in discharging semen in the art of sexual intercourse. Therefore, just as a person haunted by a ghost exhibits madness, the best of the he-goats, attracted by the many she-goats, engaged in erotic activities and naturally forgot his real business of self-realization. Purport. Materialists are certainly very much attracted by sexual intercourse. Yan maitunadi grihamedi sukham hituch cham. Although one becomes a grihastha or householder to enjoy sex life to its heart's content, one is never satisfied. Such a lusty materialist is like a goat, for it is said that if goats meant for slaughter get the opportunity, they enjoy sex before being killed. Human beings, however, are meant for self-realization. Tapo divyam, putraka, yena satvam, shudyet yasmat, brahmasokyam twanantam. Human life is meant for realization of the self, the spiritual soul within the body. Dehinosmin yata dehe. A materialistic rascal does not know that he is not the body, but a spiritual soul within the body. However, one should understand his real position and cultivate knowledge by which to get free from bodily entanglement. Like an unfortunate person who acts madly, haunted by ghosts, a materialist haunted by the ghost of lust forgets his real business so that he can enjoy so-called happiness in the bodily concept of life. 7. When the she-goat who had fallen into the well saw her beloved goats engaged in sexual affairs with another she-goat, she could not tolerate the goat's activities. Text 8. Aggrieved by her husband's behavior with another, the she-goat thought that the he-goat was not actually her friend, but was hard-hearted, and was her friend only for the time being. Therefore, because her husband was lusty, she left him and returned to her former maintainer. Purport. The word swaminam is significant. Swami means caretaker. Swami means caretaker or master. Devayani was cared for by Shukracharya before her marriage, and after her marriage she was cared for by Yayati. But here the word swaminam indicates that Devayani left the protection of her husband, Yayati, and returned to her former protector, Shukracharya. Vedic civilization recommends that a woman stay under the protection of a man. During childhood, she should be cared for by her father, in youth by her husband, and in old age by a grown son. In any stage of life, a woman should not have independence. Text 9. Being very sorry, the he-goat, who was subservient to his wife, followed the she-goat on the road and tried his best to flatter her, but he could not pacify her. Text 10. The she-goat went to the residence of a brahmana who was a maintainer of another she-goat, and that brahmana angrily cut off the he-goat's dangling testicles. But at the he-goat's request, the brahmana later rejoined them by the power of mystic yoga. Purport. Here Shukracharya is figuratively described as the husband of another she-goat. This indicates that the relationship between husband and wife in any society, whether higher or lower than human society, is nothing but the same relationship between he-goat and she-goat. For the material relationship between man and woman is one of sex. Yan maitunadi grihamedi sukham hituch cham. Shukracharya was an acharya, or expert, in family affairs, which involved the transfer of semen from he-goat to she-goat. The words kaschit ajaswami expressly indicate here that Shukracharya was no better than Yayati, for both of them was interested in family affairs generated by Shukra, or semen. Shukracharya first cursed Yayati to become old, that he could no longer indulge in sex. But when Shukracharya saw that Yayati's emasculation would make his own daughter a victim of punishment, he used his mystic power to restore Yayati's masculinity. Because he used his power of mystic yoga for family affairs and not to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this exercise in the magic of yoga was no better than the affairs of he-goats and she-goats. Yogic power should be properly used to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna Vaisheshika Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Hare Bol. All glories to you and your service to humanity and Srila Prabhupada and all the spiritual authorities in the universe. Hare Krishna. That was our brahmachari +1. Well, what are you? She's a renunciate. She's the great preacher of Krishna consciousness, Nitya. we're partners in this endeavor to bring people to Krishna consciousness here in Houston. Nitya Kishori, Hare Krishna. And our daily brahmachari reading and reflection, which we got guests from who? From Vaisheshika Prabhu, who maybe is listening right now, or maybe just tuned in for a moment, but he was there, and he was the inspiration for this format, which we've been doing in Govardhan for 17 years. Or maybe it's 18, 17. Anyway, but we do for 5 hours a day during Kartik. Yeah, 2 sessions, one for 2.5 and 2.5, or 2 and 3.5, every day for a month, without missing a day. The Kartik in Govardhan. Yeah, come and join us someday. Thank you, Vaisheshika Prabhu, very much for tuning in and giving me your hello. And I return my humble obeisances to you and all my affection as my dearest friend, my best friend. Hare Krishna. Because he used his power of mystic yoga for family affairs and not to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this exercise in the magic of yoga was no better than the affairs of he-goats and she-goats. Yogic power should properly be used to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as the Lord himself recommends in Bhagavad Gita 6:47. Yoginam apisarvesham madgatenan tadatmana shradhavan bhajate yomam same yuktatamo mataha. Of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. Text 11. My dear wife, when the he-goat had his testicles restored, he enjoyed the she-goat he had gotten from the well. But although he continued to enjoy for many, many years, even now, he has not yet been fully satisfied. Purport. When one is bound by affection for one's wife, one is attached to sexual desires that are very difficult to overcome. Therefore, according to Vedic civilization, one must voluntarily leave his home, so-called home, and go to the forest. Pancho shoradwam vanam brajet. Human life is meant for such tapasya, or austerity. By the austerity of voluntarily stopping sex life at home and going to the forest to engage in spiritual activities in the association of devotees, one achieves the actual purpose of human life. Text 12. O my dear wife with beautiful eyebrows, I am exactly like that he-goat. O my dear wife with beautiful eyebrows, I am exactly like that he-goat, for I am so poor in intelligence that I am captivated by your beauty and have forgotten the real task of self-realization. Purport. If one remains a victim of the so-called beauty of his wife, his family life is nothing but a dark well. Hit vatmapaptam griyamandukupam. Existence in such a dark well is certainly suicidal. If one wants relief from the miserable condition of material life, one must voluntarily give up his lusty relationship with his wife. Otherwise, there is no question of self-realization. Unless one is extremely advanced in Krishna consciousness, household life is nothing but a dark well in which one commits suicide. Prahlad Maharaj therefore recommended that in due time, at least after one's 50th year, one must give up household life and go to the forest. Vanam gato yad darim ashrayeta. There one should seek shelter at the lotus feet of Hari. Text 13. A person who is lusty cannot satisfy his mind even if he has had enough of everything in this world, including rice, barley, and other food grains, gold, animals, and women. Nothing can satisfy him. Purport. Improvements of one's economic condition is the aim and object of a materialist. But there is no end to this material advancement, for if one cannot control his lusty desires, he will never be pleased, even if he gets all the material wealth of the world. In this age we see much material improvements, but still people are struggling to get more and more material opulence. Recently in the news there was a story about a personality who by evil means became very wealthy and very well connected and was running a underage prostitution ring. And he had the most expensive building in Manhattan, which is really like $565 million for one house, right? And he had, he got exposed. And they put him in jail, and the next night he committed suicide. He hung himself. All the money in the world, all the sex in the world, and all he could do was hang himself, because he knew he was finished, and he was going to be humiliated in front of the whole world. And now it's all coming out, all the different big people who were involved in this, and the rot, of materialistic culture. It's all going to come out. It's like breaking a boil. It's going to all, yeah, that's right. Hare Krishna. That's just exactly what it's saying here. In this age, we see much material improvement, but still people are struggling to get more and more material opulence. Manak shastan indriyani prakriti-stani karshati. Although every living entity is part of the Supreme Being, because of lusty desires, one continuously struggles for so-called betterment of one's economic condition. To have a satisfied mind, one must give up his heart disease of lusty desires. I will repeat that, please. We're in Brahmachari land and also renounced Mataji land. To have a satisfied mind, one must give up his heart disease of lusty desires. This can be done only when one is in Krishna consciousness. Bhaktim param bhagavati pratilabhyakamam rid rogam asha parinot chachirena diraha. If one becomes Krishna conscious, then he can give up his heart disease. Otherwise, this disease of lusty desires will continue, and one cannot have peace in his mind. Text 14. As supplying butter to a fire does not diminish the fire, but instead increases it more and more, the endeavor to stop lusty desires by continual enjoyment can never be successful. In fact, one must voluntarily cease from material desires. Purport. One may have enough money and enough resources to satisfy the senses, but still not be satisfied. For the endeavor to stop lusty desires by enjoying can never be successful. The example given here is very appropriate. One cannot stop a blazing fire by trying to extinguish it with butter. Text 15. When a man is not envious and does not desire ill fortune for anyone, he is equipoised. For such a person, all directions appear happy. Purport. Prabodhananda Saraswati said, Vishwam Purnam Sukhayate. When one becomes Krishna conscious by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, for him the entire world appears happy, and he has nothing for which to hanker. On the Brahmabhuta stage, or the platform of spiritual realization, there is no lamentation and no material hankering. Na shochati, na kankshati. As long as one lives in the material world, actions and reactions will continue. But when one is unaffected by such material actions and reactions, he is to be considered free from the danger of being victimized by material desires. The symptoms of those who are satisfied or satiated with lusty desires are described in this verse. As explained by Srila Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, when one is not envious even of his enemy, does not expect honor from anyone, but instead desires all well-being, even for his enemy. He is understood to be a Paramahamsa, one who has fully subdued the lusty desires for sense gratification. Text 16. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 16. For those who are too attached to material enjoyment, sense gratification is very difficult to give up. Even when one is an invalid because of old age, one cannot give up such desire for sense gratification. Therefore, one who actually desires happiness must give up such unsatisfied desires, which are the cause of all tribulations. Purport. We have actually seen, even in the Western countries, that men who have reached more than 80 years of age still go to nightclubs and pay heavy fees to drink wine and associate with women. Although such men are too old to enjoy anything, their desires have not ceased. Time deteriorates even the body itself, which is the medium for all sensual satisfaction. But even when a man becomes old and invalid, his desires are strong enough to dictate that he go here and there to satisfy the desires of his senses. Therefore, by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, one should give up lusty desires, as explained by Sri Yamunacharya. Yad abhidi mama cheta Krishna padarda binde nava nava rasa daman yudyatam rantum asid tad abhidi batanari sangame smaryamane bhavati mukhavikara shushtu nishtivanam cha. When one is Krishna conscious, he gets more and more happiness by discharging duties for Krishna. Such a person spits on sense gratification, especially that of sexual enjoyment. An experienced, advanced devotee is no longer interested in sex life. The strong desire for sex can be subdued only by advancement in Krishna consciousness. Text 17. Getting sobered up now for the 10th canto, don't forget. We should be a little joyful now. Get fired up. Here we go. One should not allow oneself to sit in the same seat, even when one's mother, sister, or daughter. For the senses are so strong that even though one is very advanced in knowledge, he may be attracted by sex. Purport. Learning the etiquette of how to deal with women does not free one from sexual attraction. As specifically mentioned herewith, such attraction is possible even when one's mother, sister, or daughter. Generally, of course, one is not sexually attracted to his mother, sister, or daughter, but if one allows himself to sit very close to such a woman, one may be attracted. This is a psychological fact. It may be said that one is liable to be attracted if he is not very advanced in civilized life. However, as specifically mentioned here, vidvangsam apikarshati. Even if one is highly advanced, materially or spiritually, he may be attracted by lusty desires. The object of attraction may even be one's mother, sister, or daughter. Therefore, one should be extremely careful in dealings with women. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was most strict in such dealings, especially after he accepted the sannyas order. Indeed, no woman could come near him to offer respect. Again, one is warned herewith that one should be extremely careful in dealings with women. A brahmachari is forbidden to even see the wife of a spiritual master if she happens to be young. The wife of the spiritual master may sometimes take some service from the disciple of her husband, as she would from a son. But if the wife of the spiritual master is young, a brahmachari is forbidden to render service to her. Text 18. I have spent a full 1,000 years enjoying sense gratification, yet my desire to enjoy such pleasure increases daily. Purport. Maharaja Yayati is explaining in terms of his actual experience how strong are sexual desires, even in old age. Text 19. Therefore I shall now give up all these desires and meditate upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. free from the dualities of material concoction, and free from false prestige, I shall wander in the forest with the animals. Purport. To go to the forest and live there with the animals, meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the only means by which to give up lusty desires. Unless one gives up such desires, one's mind cannot be freed from material contamination. Therefore, if one is at all interested in being freed from the bondage of repeated birth and death, old age and disease, after a certain age one must go to the forests. Panchashurdvam vanam brajet. After 50 years of age, one should voluntarily give up family life and go to the forest. The best forest is Vrindavan, where one need not live with the animals, but can associate with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who never leaves Vrindavan. Cultivating Krishna consciousness in Vrindavan is the best means of being liberated from material bondage. For in Vrindavan, one can automatically meditate upon Krishna. Vrindavan has many temples, and in one or more of these temples one may see the form of the Supreme Lord as Radha Krishna or Krishna Balaram, and meditate upon this form. As expressed here by the words Raman Yadaya, one should concentrate one's mind upon the Supreme Lord, Parabrahman. This Parabrahman is Krishna, as confirmed by Arjuna in Bhagavad Gita. Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Krishna and his abode, Vrindavan, are not different. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Arabdyo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tad Dhamma Vrindavanam. Vrindavan is as good as Krishna. Therefore, if one somehow or other gets the opportunity to live in Vrindavan, and if one is not a pretender, but simply lives in Vrindavan and concentrates his mind upon Krishna, one is liberated from material bondage. One's mind is not purified, however, even in Vrindavan, if one is agitated by lusty desires. One should not live in Vrindavan and commit offenses, for a life of offenses in Vrindavan is no better than the lives of the monkeys and hogs there. Many monkeys and hogs live in Vrindavan, and they are concerned with their sexual desires. Men who have gone to Vrindavan, but who still hanker for sex, should immediately leave Vrindavan and stop their grievous offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord. There are many misguided men who live in Vrindavan to satisfy their sexual desires, but they are certainly no better than the monkeys and hogs. Those who are under the control of Maya, and specifically under the control of lusty desires, are called Maya Mriga. Indeed, everyone in the conditioned stage of material life is a Maya Mriga. It is said, Maya Mrigam, Dayita Pepsitam Anbadavad. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas to show his causeless mercy to the Maya Mrigas, the people of this material world, who suffer because of lusty desires. One should follow the principles of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and always think of Krishna in full Krishna consciousness. Then one will be eligible to live in Vrindavan, and thus his life will be successful. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Text 20. One who knows that material happiness, whether good or bad, in this material or in this life or in the next, on this planet or on the heavenly planets, is temporary and useless, and that an intelligent person should not try to enjoy or even think of such things, is the knower of the self. Such a self-realized person knows quite well that material happiness is the very cause of continued material existence and forgetfulness of one's own constitutional position. Purport. The living entity is a spiritual soul, and the material body is his encagement. This is the beginning of spiritual understanding. Dehinosmin yata dehe komaram jovanam jara tatadihantara praptir diras tatra namuyati. as the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. Bhagavad Gita 2:13. The real mission of human life is to get free from engagement in the material body. Therefore, Krishna descends to teach the conditioned soul about spiritual realization and how to become free from material bondage. Yada, yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. The words dharmasya glani mean pollution of one's existence. Our existence is now polluted, and it must be purified. Satvam shrudayat. The human life is meant for this purification, not for thinking of happiness in terms of the external body, which is the cause of material bondage. Therefore, in this verse, Maharaj Yayati advises that whatever material happiness we see and whatever is promised for enjoyment is all merely flickering and temporary. Abrahma bhuvanaloka punar avartanorjuna. Even if one is promoted to Brahmaloka, if one is not freed from material bondage, one must return to this planet Earth and continue in the miserable condition of material existence. Bhutva, bhutva, praliyate. One should always keep this understanding in mind, so as not to be allured by any kind of sense enjoyment. In this life or in the next, one who is fully aware of this truth is self-realized, sa'atmadrik. But aside from him, everyone suffers in the cycle of birth and death, mrityu, samsara, vartmani. This understanding is one of true intelligence, and anything contrary to this is but a cause of unhappiness. Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Atayeva Shanta. Only a Krishna conscious person who knows the aim and an object of life is peaceful. All others, whether karmis, jnanis, or yogis, are restless and cannot enjoy real peace. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 21. The truth will set you free. 21. Shukadev Goswami said, after speaking in this way to his wife, Devayani, King Yayati, who was now free from all material desires, called his youngest son, Puru, and returned Puru's youth in exchange for his old age. Text 22. King Yayati gave the southeast to his son Dhruya, the south to his son Yadu, the west to his son Turvasu, and the north to his son Anu. In this way, he divided the kingdom. Text 23. Yayati enthroned his youngest son, Puru, as the emperor of the entire world and the proprietor of all its riches, and he placed all the other sons who were older than Puru under Puru's control. Text 24. Having enjoyed sense gratification for many, many years, O King Parikshit, Yayati was accustomed to it, but he gave it up entirely in a moment, just as a bird flies away from the nest as soon as its wings have grown. Purport. That Maharaj Yayati was immediately liberated from the bondage of conditioned life is certainly astonishing, but the example given herewith is appropriate. A tiny baby bird, dependent fully on its father and mother, even to eat, suddenly flies away from the nest when its wings have grown. Similarly, if one fully surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately liberated from the bondage of conditioned life, as promised by the Lord Himself. Aham tvam sarvapapebhyo moksha yeshami mashi. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 2.4.18, Kiratta Hunandra Pulinda Pokasha Abhida Shumba Yavana kasadayaha yenye chapapa yadapashashaya shudyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha kirata huna andhra pulinda pulkasha abhira shumba yavana and the kasa races and even others addicted to sinful acts can be purified by taking shelter of the devotees of the Lord, for He is the supreme power. I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto Him. Lord Vishnu is so powerful that He can deliver anyone at once if He is pleased to do so. And Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, can be pleased immediately if we accept His order by surrendering unto Him, as Maharaj Yayati did. Maharaj Yayati was eager to serve Vasudeva, Krishna, and therefore as soon as he wanted to renounce material life, Lord Vasudeva helped him. The secret. We must therefore be very sincere in surrendering ourselves under the lotus feet of the Lord. Then we can immediately be liberated from all the bondage of conditioned life. This is clearly expressed in the next verse. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 25. Because King Yayati completely surrendered under the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, he was freed from all contamination of the material modes of nature. Because of his self-realization, he was able to fix his mind upon the transcendence, Parabrahman, Vasudeva, and thus he ultimately achieved the position of an associate of the Lord. Purport. The word viduta, meaning cleansed, is very significant. Everyone in this material world is contaminated. Karanam gunasangosya. Because we are in a material condition, we are contaminated either by sattva-gun, by rajagun, or by tamagun. Even if one becomes a qualified brahmana in the mode of goodness, sattva-guna, he is still materially contaminated. One must come to the platform of Shuddha-sattva, transcending the sattva-guna. Then one is viduta trilinga, cleansed of the contamination caused by the three modes of material nature. This is possible by the mercy of Krishna. As stated in Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.2.17, Shrinvatam swakata Krishna punya shravanakirtanaha ridyantaksto yabadrani vidunoti turit sitam surit sutam. O Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. A person trying to be perfectly Krishna conscious by hearing the words of Krishna from Srimad-Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita certainly has all the dirty things cleansed from the core of his heart. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also says, Chaito Darpanam Arjamanam. The process of hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord washes away the dirty things accumulated in the core of the heart. As soon as one is freed from all the dirt of material contamination, as Maharaj Yayati was, one's original position as an associate of the Lord is revealed. This is called Sarup Siddhi, or personal perfection. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Text 26. When Devayani heard Maharaj Yayati's story of the he-goat and she-goat, she understood that this story, which was presented as if a funny joke for entertainment between husband and wife, was intended to awaken her to her constitutional position. Purport. When one actually awakens from material life, one understands his real position as an eternal servant of Krishna. This is called liberation, muktir, hinvanyata rupam surupena vyavastitihi. Bhagavatam 2:10-6. Under the influence of Maya, everyone living in this material world thinks that he is the master of everything. Ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. One thinks that there is no God or controller, and that one is independent and can do anything. This is the material condition. When one awakens from this ignorance, he is called liberated. Maharaj Yayati had delivered Devayani from the well, and finally, as a dutiful husband, he instructed her with the story about the he-goat and she-goat, and thus delivered her from the misconception of material happiness. Devayani was quite competent to understand her liberated husband, and therefore she decided to follow him as his faithful wife. Text 27-28. Thereafter, Devayani, the daughter of Shukracharya, understood that the materialistic association of husband, friends, and relatives is like the association in a whole hotel full of tourists. The relationship of society, friendship, and love are created by the Maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, exactly as in a dream. By the grace of Krishna, Devayani gave up her imaginary position in the material world. Completely fixing her mind upon Krishna, she achieved liberation from the gross and subtle bodies. Purport. One should be convinced that he is a spirit soul, part and parcel of the Supreme Brahman, Krishna, but has somehow or other been entrapped by the material coverings of the gross and subtle bodies, consisting of earth, water, material coverings, or earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. One should know that the association of society, friendship, love, nationalism, religion, and so on are nothing but creations of Maya. One's only business is to become Krishna conscious and render service under Krishna as extensively as possible for a living being. In this way, one is liberated from material bondage. By the grace of Krishna, Devayani attained this state through the instructions of her husband. We'll stop here, 533. There's a nice verse. This next verse is a very nice verse. Namastubhyam Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Sarvabhutadivasyaya Shantaya Brihate Namaha. Hare Krishna.
It's the last verse in the chapter.
It is?
In case you want to finish it up.
Oh, absolutely I want to finish it up. Thank you for telling me. Thank you for telling me. This is what Rasika does when I'm recording. O Lord Vasudeva, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, you are the creator of the entire cosmic manifestation. You live as the Supersoul in everyone's heart and are smaller than the smallest. Yet you are greater than the greatest and all-pervading. You appear completely silent, having nothing to do, but this is due to your all-pervading nature and your fullness in all opulences. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. How Devayani became self-realized by the grace of her great husband, Maharaj Yayati, is described here. Describing such realization is another way of performing the bhakti process. I should read this again. Describing such realization is another way of performing the bhakti process. Shravanam kirtanam vishnu smaranam padasevanam archanam bandhanam dasyam sakyam atma nivedanam. Hearing and chanting about the transcendental holy name, form, qualities, paraphernalia, and pastimes of Lord Vishnu, remembering them, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, offering the Lord respectful worship, offering prayers to the Lord, becoming His servant, considering the Lord one's best friend, and surrendering everything unto Him. These 9 processes are accepted as pure devotional service. Bhagavatam 7.5.23. Shavanam Kirtanam, hearing and chanting, are especially important. By hearing from her husband about the greatness of Lord Vasudeva, Devayani certainly became convinced and surrendered herself unto the lotus feet of the Lord. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is knowledge. Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanamam Prapadyate. Surrender to Vasudeva is the result of hearing about him for many, many births. As soon as one surrenders unto Vasudeva, one is liberated immediately. Because of her association with her great husband, Maharaja Yayati, Devayani, became purified, adopted the means of bhakti yoga, and thus became liberated. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 9th canto, 19th chapter of Srimad-Bhagavatam, entitled King Yayati Achieves Liberation. Okay, wonderful chapter. See, now we're going to hear the dynasty of Puru, and it's going to go right down to the time of Krishna and Arjuna and all their associates were present on the earth. Okay, open mic. That was pretty intense. A lot of good points to meditate on. If anybody has the courage to speak up, go ahead. Yes, Sarva. He has the courage.
This is not too controversial, but
Sarva, you're going to disappoint us.
it was nice how Puru the son was rewarded for his surrender to his father by getting his trust in continuing the activities after the Yayati went to the forest.
Yeah.
So it was very kind of, in the material world, sometimes they say nice guys finish last. But in spiritual life, if you surrender, you're always rewarded by the Lord.
Well said, sir. In the material world, nice guys finish last. In the spiritual world, nice guys finish first. Become a nice guy, very nice.
The Bible is saying the first shall be last and the last shall be first.
Yeah. It also says the meek shall inherit the earth. Same idea. All this is the same teaching. But the Bhagavatam says it so exquisitely and so special. These purports by Prabhupada, huh? And these chapters are just out of this world. So clear, so conducive, so conclusive. Okay, Prana, give us a little brahmachari katha over here.
Well, I noted that in text 14, Yayati makes the statement that about supplying butter to the fire, and he says, it's in the, not parentheses, but brackets, it's in brackets, in fact, one must voluntarily cease from material desires. And I was thinking, comparing that to Yadu's statements previously in the previous chapter about how he wants to renounce, but he first had to experience and get that material enjoyment out of the way so that he could renounce properly. But then I thought this was an interesting conclusive statement here by Maharaj Yayati about how after having gone through it, his statement is one must voluntarily cease from it. It's not gonna one won't come to a satiate or one won't get tired of it. The desires keep increasing, and so one must actually voluntarily give it up. So I was thinking, why go through it and then have to voluntarily give it up when one's like super addicted to the material
Where have I
enjoyment.
heard that before? Out of Srila Prabhupada's lotus mouth. Many times. If you can avoid it, avoid it. Not that you should go into thinking that, well, it's inevitable, so we'll just do this for a while until we learn what the truth is, and then, and it said, what does it Prabhupada say there? Unless you're very advanced. If you're very advanced, then you can do that. But unless you're very advanced, better not to think. Yes?
Not everyone can learn by hearing. Some have to go through.
Yes. Most intelligence learned by hearing, and second lesson intelligence learned by experience, and third class intelligence don't even learn after experience.
But I just was thinking how the conception is sometimes that it'll be easier to give up material desires after having fulfilled them. Now that I've had the experience, then I can give it up.
It thinks that's the logical
That's
reason.
the logic, but it seems like
No.
it's just as difficult, if not
difficult.
more.
More difficult. Because it's lodged in the mind. The subtle mind stays with you. The body deteriorates, but the mind doesn't. It just goes on and becomes the basis of your next body. The 11th canto describes the mind to be like it's a spool, it's a subtle spool. And everything that you've heard and said and touched and felt and tasted and seen, while you've been in the material world, it's all stored on this huge, hard drive inside the mind. They say that, even the scientists say that we're using only like a very small percentage of our brain, 1%, 2%. And Prabhupada there's a verse in the Bhagavatam that says the ear is like the sky. As much as you put into the ear, it can still take more. And if you become very intelligent, then you can remember what you hear. But then what happens is, like you were saying, even when the body deteriorates, that mind is still there, and all those desires. The mind is like a manufacturer of material desires. It's like a factory, subtle factory, and it just takes all the things that you've seen and heard and tasted and smelled, and you go to sleep at night, and it all comes out 3D. You can do this, then you do that, you can do that. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Oh, no, and all these things happen to a dream, and then you wake up. Oh, yeah, okay. But this is also a dream. It just lasts longer, that's all. Or it seems to last longer. And then, when the body changes, the spool comes out into your next body, and you come out with just the kind of body you liked when you died. The desire you had at the end, right at the end, that desire, that's the body you get. It's like an ongoing movie. The mind just keeps the spool going, the newsreel. Can of film. Okay, we got something from the cyberspace.
Well, it's, I can look and make sure I'm here.
Just comments, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Mainly just comments. You know what that Vaisheshika Prabhu, I guarantee you, he was in the car driving to do the Sunday program in ISV. That's where he was when he called us and said Hare Krishna. Might not even got to hear all the things I said about him. He always calls me when he goes from driving to the temple in ISV.
There's one comment, I think it's just an appreciation.
It's from Rasika.
Rasika, he has his feet up.
He says, "Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Excellent reading. I am appreciating the point made by Srila Prabhupada that without getting free from lusty desires specifically, one cannot get free from material attachment generally. When one is caught upon the strong desires for sex indulgence, it may seem like you can never get free, but one must have faith that Krishna can and will set the devotee free."
Nice. Well said. That's what faith is.
He then says, Please comment on the process by which Krishna sets the aspiring devotee free.
Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishami machachaha. That's the verse. You want to hear the commentary? Let's hear the commentary. Okay, I'm just trying to deliver the mail here, kids, in case you didn't notice. Just trying to deliver the mail. And this sounds like a very opportune moment. You asked me what the purport is to that verse. In essence, that's what you asked.
He says,
Here it
yes,
is.
yes, please.
Here it is. Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam braja aham tvam sarvapapebhyo mokshayishami ma shuchaha. So this is the process. Abandon all varieties of religion. That's the process. And just surrender unto me. Ekam means only. Mam ekam, only. Sharanam. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. I heard Gopi say just the other day, Prabhupada said, in the morning, Krishna says to Maya, okay, back off of this one. He's in the heart, he's in control of Maya, and he says, okay, back off of this one, that's it. And Maya stands there like this. Is there something I can do for you? Tell me what I can do for you. Purport. The Lord has described various kinds of knowledge and processes of religion. Knowledge of the Supreme Brahman, knowledge of the Super Soul, knowledge of the different types of orders and statuses of a social life, knowledge of the renounced order of life, knowledge of non-attachment, sense and mind control, meditation, etc. He has described in so many ways different types of religion. Now, in summarizing Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that Arjuna should give up all the processes that have been explained to him. He should simply surrender to Krishna. That surrender will save him from all kinds of sinful reactions, for the Lord personally promises to protect him. In the 7th chapter, say for instance you're walking down the street, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a hailstorm starts. And these hail balls are not like this, or like this, or like this. They're the size of basketballs. The sky is raining, basketball-sized hail balls. One of them hits you on top of the head, you're dead. All of a sudden, and they're coming down everywhere around. What do you do? Wow, look at the size of that one. Maybe I can measure it. Maybe if I capture it, maybe I'll get in the Guinness Book of Records. No. You just run. You're in danger. You can die at any second. You just run to a tree or an overhang or a building, something. You don't think about it. You just run there. That's full surrender. You run to Krishna when you realize what a dangerous position you're in this material world. At any second, you can die. That's the process. In the 7th chapter, it was said that only one who has become free from all sinful reactions can take to the worship of Lord Krishna. Thus one may think that unless he is free from all sinful reactions, he cannot take to the surrendering process. This is the doubt. This is the resistance. To such doubts, it is here said that even if one is not free from all sinful reactions, simply by the process of surrendering Sri Krishna, he is immediately freed. There is no need of strenuous effort to free oneself from sinful reactions. One should unhesitatingly accept Krishna as the supreme savior of all living entities. With faith and love, one should surrender unto him. The process of surrender to Krishna is described in the Hari Bhakti Vilas 11.676. That's a big chapter. Anukulyena sankalpa pratikulyasya varjanam rakshishyatita vishwaso goptritve varanam tata atma nikchepakarpanye shadvida charanagati. According to the devotional process, one should simply accept such religious principles that will lead ultimately to the devotional service of the Lord. One may perform a particular occupational duty according to his position in the social order, but if by executing his duty one does not come to the point of Krishna consciousness, all these activities are in vain. Anything that does not lead to the perfectional stage of Krishna consciousness should be avoided. One should be confident that in all circumstances Krishna will protect him from all difficulties. There is no need of thinking how one can keep the body and soul together. Krishna will see to that. One should always think himself helpless and should consider Krishna the only basis for his progress in life. As soon as one seriously engages himself in devotional service to the Lord, in full Krishna consciousness, at once he becomes freed from the contamination of material nature. Oh, Nitya, by the way, tomorrow we start 6 instead of 6:30. From now on, weekdays are 6 to 6. Okay. There are different processes of religion and purificatory processes by cultivation of knowledge, meditation in the mystic yoga system, etc. But one who surrenders unto Krishna does not have to execute so many methods. That simple surrender unto Krishna will save him from unnecessarily wasting time. One can thus make all progress at once and be freed from all sinful reactions. One should be attracted by the beautiful vision of Krishna. His name is Krishna because he is all attractive. One who becomes attracted by the beautiful, all-powerful, omnipotent vision of Krishna is fortunate. There are different kinds of transcendentalists. Some of them are attached to the impersonal Brahman vision, some of them are attracted by the supersoul feature, and so on. But one who is attracted to the personal feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and above all, one who is attracted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Krishna himself, is the most perfect transcendentalist. In other words, devotional service to Krishna in full Krishna consciousness is the most confidential part of knowledge. And this is the essence of the whole Bhagavad Gita. Karma Yoga, empiric philosophers, mystics, and devotees are all called transcendentalists, but one who is a pure devotee is the best of all. The particular words used here, ma shuchaha, don't fear, don't hesitate, don't worry, are all significant, are very significant. One may be perplexed as to how one can give up all kinds of religious forms and simply surrender unto Krishna, but such worry is useless. Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
That's the explanation of how to surrender to Krishna. Who could write that book? I told you the story, right? Tejas? Yeah. Okay, I have an appointment at 6 o'clock with Thakur Haridas. Not the original Thakur Haridas, someone who I know who has the name of Thakur Haridas. Husband of Kalindi, actually. come from China, and he wants to talk. So I'm going to go now. Thank you very much. All glories to the 9th Canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam. And all glories to Yayati Maharaj, who finally gave it up. All glories to the Bhagavad Gita as it is. It gives the essence of spiritual life. All glories to all the devotees of the Lord who actually surrendered to Krishna. Gaur Premanandi. See you tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Now this is a notice, change of time. It gives us an opportunity to end sooner and for all of us to get to bed earlier. I'm hoping I'm going to try to preserve my voice by getting a little bed earlier. And everyone else can too, get the Mongol Arctic on time. Get more sleep. A little more sleep never hurt anybody. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody out there in cyberspace. Please remember to save, to share, post, and all those different things. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See you tomorrow, same time, not same time, 6 o'clock.